Alex had always been a fighter. From a young age, they learned that hard work and determination were the keys to success. However, despite all their efforts, life had a way of throwing curveballs that felt impossible to dodge. The latest challenge came when Alex failed a crucial exam. It wasn't just any exam, it was the one that would determine their future. After months of studying late into the night, poring over notes and trying to absorb every little detail, Alex had given everything. But when the results came, it felt like a punch to the gut. The grades were terrible, and the weight of failure hung heavy in the air. For days, Alex couldn't even bring themselves to look at the paper. It felt like everything they had worked for had just slipped through their fingers. Their classmates had passed with ease, some even boasting about their high marks on social media. The pressure mounted. How could Alex face their family, their friends, and, most of all, themselves? In moments like these, Alex had two choices: give up or keep going. But in that moment, giving up seemed like the easier choice. They felt overwhelmed by the doubt that clouded their mind. Was all this hard work for nothing? Were they not good enough? The question echoed through their thoughts like a broken record, stealing the last bit of confidence they had left. Alex tried to bury the disappointment. They avoided their friends, stayed off social media, and even stopped replying to messages. They spent their days pacing around their apartment, staring out the window, wondering if life had anything else to offer. The dream they had worked so hard for seemed out of reach. It felt as though every step forward had been met with 2 steps back. Then there was Jordan. A longtime friend, Jordan had been through their own share of struggles. They knew what it felt like to hit rock bottom and have no idea how to rise again. Jordan reached out to Alex, sensing the pain and frustration that had taken over their friend. Despite Alex's reluctance to talk, Jordan convinced them to meet up at their favorite coffee shop. Sitting across from each other, Jordan's gaze was calm but knowing. Without asking, Jordan already knew what Alex was going through. They had seen it in themselves years ago. Failure doesn't define you, Jordan said quietly. It's just one part of the journey. Sometimes, the only way forward is through the hard stuff. Alex wasn't ready to hear it. It felt too simple, too cliché. But Jordan wasn't giving up. They continued, "Look, I know you're hurting right now. But trust me, this is just a test. It's not the end. It's how you react to this moment that matters." Alex felt a flicker of something inside them. Maybe it was hope, maybe it was defiance, but for the first time since the exam results, they felt like they could breathe. Yet, as Alex walked home that day, the weight of their failure still lingered. The idea of getting back on track seemed impossible. They didn't know where to start or how to move forward. The road ahead was unclear, and every path seemed blocked by the walls they had built in their mind. In those quiet moments of doubt, Alex realized something: life was testing them. But the question was, would they rise above it? Would they fight back against the fear and disappointment? The answers weren't clear yet, but for the first time in a long time, Alex was ready to face the challenge head-on. Days passed, and Alex couldn't stop thinking about Jordan's words. They kept echoing in their mind: "It's how you react to this moment that matters." Alex knew that the pain of failure wasn't going to disappear overnight, but the more they thought about it, the more they realized that staying stuck in self-pity would get them nowhere. It wasn't easy, but something inside them started to shift. Instead of letting the failure define them, they decided to define the failure. The first step wasn't grand. It wasn't about achieving success right away. It was simply about starting over, one small step at a time. Alex sat down at their desk, opened the textbooks, and started reviewing the material again. There were moments of frustration, moments when the urge to give up crept in, but Alex pushed through. They knew they had to try. The difference this time was that Alex wasn't aiming for perfection. They stopped comparing themselves to others, stopped worrying about how fast or slow they were progressing. They focused on the process, on making sure that every little effort counted. It was a slow, steady rhythm of persistence. Some days, the work felt like a mountain too steep to climb, but Alex kept moving forward, even when it felt like nothing was changing. One evening, after hours of studying, Alex closed the books and sat in silence, reflecting on how far they had come since that first moment of despair. The change wasn't visible in the results yet, but it was in the mindset. They had stopped viewing failure as something that would break them and started seeing it as a tool for growth. Every failed attempt had become a lesson, not a defeat. A few weeks later, Alex got another chance to take the exam. This time, the feeling was different. There was no sense of desperation, no pressure to prove anything to anyone. Alex simply walked into the room with a calm confidence, knowing that they had done everything they could to prepare. The test wasn't easy, but Alex was no longer overwhelmed by it. They faced it with a quiet strength, knowing that this was just another challenge to be met, not an obstacle to be feared. When the results came in, Alex passed. It wasn't just the grade that mattered, it was the journey that led to it. The transformation Alex had gone through wasn't just about acing an exam, it was about rediscovering their resilience, their ability to bounce back no matter how hard life tested them. The weight of failure that once seemed unbearable was now nothing more than a stepping stone to something greater. Jordan, of course, was the first person Alex called to share the good news. They laughed together, not just because Alex had passed, but because they both knew that the real victory had been the transformation. Alex had learned that setbacks didn't mean the end, they were simply a part of the process. It was through pushing forward, even when it felt impossible, that Alex had found their strength. The struggle had turned into a lesson, and the lesson had become a source of power. The moral of the story was clear: life will test us.